There's unemployment in Nigeria. I grew up in a farm in Ondo State. My dad's a veterinary doctor, so we had poultry, fishery, piggery, and growing up, we worked on the farm. We made sure that all of us, my brothers and I, got our hands dirty. And we used to have a lot of staff back then. Probably had more people working than we needed. And I left home 13 years ago. And now when I call my dad, almost every time, and I ask about the farm, he tells me we have a big problem. Right? And he tells me that we can't find people to work on the farm any longer. And that's quite surprising because if you look at the statistics, they tell us 23.9% of Nigerians are unemployed. And so it becomes really hard for you to understand what's going on. Everybody is saying they're unemployed, and here's my dad and many people like him who are looking for people to hire and they can't find. So there's obviously a mismatch between people who are looking for jobs and people who are given jobs. But that's not the only problem, because you would think that if supply is outstripping demand, then, there should be a lot of, my dad should just be recruiting people per day. But that doesn't happen. So there's more than a mismatch. There's also something, probably a lot of other things that are worse than a mismatch, that is keeping Nigerians away from jobs. So that got us thinking, and we got into the Imagineering of Insideify.com. We call it Imagineering. That's the imaginative engineering of Insideify.com. And we set out to solve two problems. One, try to use technology to make it easier for people who are looking for jobs to find jobs. And secondly, and more importantly, to create conversations, to set up a platform where people can actually have conversations around jobs and finding jobs. And as Africa's first social job site. And so what we do basically is we crawl the internet and we aggregate jobs from different sources. So we're kind of like a Google for jobs. There are 1,001 job sites out there. So we're just not another job site. We are like a Google for jobs. So kind of we index the internet. And so we crawl jobs from all the job sites in the country, from the job sites, Nigeria Jobs, Find a Job in Africa, Careers Nigeria, Jobberman. We put all the jobs together in one place so that it's easier for the job seeker to search through. So it's pretty much like the experience you have on Google when you're searching for a job. And the thinking is that if all the jobs are here, with time all the job seekers are going to come here. And when they do come, we would get their CVs so that we have a database of CVs that would be probably the biggest database of CVs in Nigeria. Presently, we have the biggest database of jobs in Nigeria. We have about 67,000 because the number changes every minute. We have about 67,000 jobs on our platform now that you can search intelligently through. And with that, we launched a month ago, like I said. We hope that with time, as we grow, we'll have the biggest database of CVs and allow employers to be able to search through that database intelligently. So for instance, if you're an employer and you want to employ somebody who graduated from IFE in 2007 or the first class in economics, and has words like creativity and leadership in their CV, all you need to do is to put in these things in our search box, and you will find people in our database of CVs who meet that criteria. So it's very intelligent for you to look through millions of CVs and find your needle in the haystack kind of thing. So that's what we do. So we're like a database for jobs, a database for CVs. And more interestingly, and this is what I'm going to be talking to you about, we're also a social professional network. Aside the fact that most of the jobs people get by, networking. I mean, 80% of jobs gotten in Nigeria are gotten from networking. We bring a new edge to networking. So Insideify automatically searches your friends on Facebook. It allows you to invite your friends on Facebook to join, your friends on LinkedIn to join, your friends on your email contact list to join. And we automatically search that database for you to find people in your networks who work in those companies. So this is how it works. We find a job for you on all the job sites on the internet. We have your CV, we link you with that job that fits you, and we help you find people in your life who can help you get that job. So we can tell you this guy is your friend, and he works in this company, so he can help you get that job. And this guy is a friend of your friend, So we can actually even tell you who is the friend of your friend that can help you get that job. So that creates a whole experience. That's what we think So that's what our home page looks like. And if you run a search, the next slide is going to show you like a result of when you run a search on Insideify.com. So it's pretty much like a Google. If you look up at the slide there, the first job is from OLX.com, the next job is from Jobberman, the third one is from Jobberman. If you scroll down, that's a screenshot, so you can't scroll down. But if you scroll down, you find those jobs from different sources. When you click on those jobs, it goes to the website where the jobs are. And by the time you log into Insideify, you have an experience like that. That's the employer's experience. That's what employers see. And that's a whole different ball game. And the next slide shows the experience you have when you get inside, which is a social part of what we do, which is the most interesting part of what we do. That's like a platform that looks pretty much like your Facebook, where ideas can be exchanged. But the interesting thing about Insideify is that ideas here are professional ideas, ideas that are serious. So you're not going to be posting, I had Eba this morning, I had not had my bath. Some people come to pray and do stuff on Facebook. This is more professional because employers are looking on it. So we're generating those interactions so that people can engage themselves around things that are professional. And so it looks pretty much like your Facebook, so you can have followers, you can connect with people, you can upload comments, you can upload, feedbacks and comments and stuff like that going forward. And for us, this is just the beginning. There's also a brand page that allows you to have, so that the employer has more access to more than a CV. They can see your social footprint, they can see your endorsements, what people say about you and stuff like that. But more interestingly than that, we don't even know where Insideify is going. What we know is what we're doing now. And the brief we've given ourselves is that we will continue to monitor these interactions and innovate at the pace of these interactions. So for instance, the internet, the guys who founded the internet in the beginning, they never knew that the internet was going to become what it became. But what happened was that they unlocked the power of conversation. They allowed human beings to be able to interact with each other better. And that's what we're trying to do. And there's no telling what happens when people begin to converse. And there's no telling what will happen when job seekers begin to converse around the topics of empowering ourselves, getting ourselves into jobs, creating actions. And that's the most exciting part of what we do. So how we see what we do is that we are making it easier for people to find jobs, more than anybody is doing out there yet. And we're making it easier for jobs to find people. But more importantly, we're creating a platform for conversations that will lead to actions. And those are the actions that we need. And conversations are starting already. For instance, the first conversation, and that is the meat of the matter I'm discussing with you today, is conversation around jobs. Now, we asked ourselves a question in Insideify that when the mismatch my dad, for instance, is having, and the obvious mismatch that you see out there, there are 1,001 people who are looking for jobs every day. I mean, I'm sure you know 10, 20 people in your network who are looking for a job. And we asked ourselves, are we actually getting something wrong? Are we actually looking for jobs? Are Nigerians actually unemployed? Can you actually afford to be unemployed in Nigeria? If you're unemployed, are there safety nets that can actually deliver you from the repercussions of being unemployed? If you're in America and you're unemployed, probably there's social security and a number of other things that would still make life meaningful for you. But if you're unemployed in Nigeria, you are very close to hell. So are there safety nets? No. So several questions are arising already, but the most important question is that question of a job. So we ask ourselves, what is a job? Maybe we're actually getting definitions wrong. And so we checked the dictionary, and the dictionary tells us that a job is a paid occupation, or what you do to get regular payment. That's Advanced Learners Dictionary. And that definition is not only wrong, it's dangerous. It's wrong because you cannot define a thing by its reward. So if I do a job, it's another thing if I get paid or not. The fact that I don't get paid doesn't mean I've not done a job. So if you define a job as what you do to get paid, you're shifting your attention from the job itself to the payment. And it's dangerous in a country like Nigeria where visibly there's corruption. So people can get paid without doing anything. And if the emphasis is on the payment, then people begin to run after money and not create value. And if we don't create value, we don't create jobs. So what is actually a job then? Our definition of a job, what we found to be the definition of a job, is the work you do. And the work you do is your contribution to solving problems. So you hire people because you want them to solve a problem. You don't hire somebody to come and sit down and look. You hire an accountant because you have an accounting problem to solve and you want the accountant to solve the accounting problem. You hire a surgeon because you want to do a cardiac surgery. You won't hire an accountant to come and do a cardiac surgery on your uncle. That won't work because it doesn't have what it takes to solve the problem. So the job you do is pretty much like your contribution to solving problems. So if you say there are no jobs in Nigeria, are we saying there are no problems in Nigeria? And I don't think there are many countries in the world with more problems than Nigeria. There are not many. So in the huge multitude of problems we have, we still continue to add joblessness to those problems, which shouldn't be. And so we got thinking, what's the missing link? What's helping us? What are we missing in the conversion of problems to jobs? Because actually the number of problems we have should encourage hardworking Nigerians. Because it should actually be a pointer to the fact that there's so much opportunity. But that's not the case. So we asked ourselves, are jobs equal to problems? No. Jobs are approximately equal to problems. And a number of things have to happen to problems to convert them to jobs. So for instance, there's a problem of electricity in Nigeria, and I want to solve the problem of electricity, but I can't just wake up in the morning and say, I want to solve the problem of electricity. So things have to happen. Entrepreneurs have to happen to problems. So Nigeria needs to have more entrepreneurs taking in their hands to build infrastructures and structures around solving problems, converting, for instance, the electricity problem into a business that people can plug into and begin to deliver their own quota of the solution, which is jobs, in the direction of solving the problem of electricity. So entrepreneurs have to happen to problems. And this thinking, our entrepreneurs must carry this thinking to the market. Our job is not just to come and do adverts. I mean, for instance, the telcos. Recently, the number portability thing is shifting the focus to actually the real job of the telcos. So the telcos used to think that their job was advertisements, raffle draws, signing on stars and everything, and making fancy advertisements, and not delivering communication. But now that you can port your number, let's see what's going to happen, because the competition has now moved to the job itself. So entrepreneurs must begin to think about their job as actually solving problems. And entrepreneurs must happen to problems in the conversion of problems to jobs. Capital must happen to problems. So we must move money in the direction of solution. So, I mean, the interest rates of doing business in Nigeria is totally unsustainable. So you have banks lending out loans at 25%. And you say there's a problem with joblessness. How will I build a business on 25% interest? There are countries that have interest of 2%. That makes me totally uncompetitive globally. And so we must start to think about the way we move capital around to empower people to create jobs. That's how we can convert our problems to jobs. Land is another thing. I mean, Nigeria is blessed by a lot of resources, petroleum and all that. And 95% of what we export to the world is crude oil. Emphasis on crude. I mean, we don't even take time to refine what we are selling. I mean, to add more value to it, to engage more Nigerians working on this oil before we sell it to the world. So we're not even unlocking the land we have. There are several resources, tin, columbides, coal, iron ore, many things that are lying fallow in Nigeria, and they were not converting them to jobs for people to work. So policymakers and the guys responsible for these things must begin to look at our resources as solutions to the jobs that we're saying we don't have. And more importantly, agriculture. We have about 85 million hectares of arable land in Nigeria. Less than 40% of it is used to produce crops and to do the real agriculture you should be doing. And we should begin to look at agriculture that way, as a room for employment, to unlock the farms, to unlock people, to get workers working on my dad's farm. And those are things that we need to begin to do if we are going to solve the problem of unemployment. And most importantly is labor. I mean, it's all about jobs. Now, for instance, if we solved all these problems and there are refineries in Nigeria and there is power sector and everything is working, do you think that Nigeria has the kind of engineers that can drive refineries? Do you think Obafemi University, for instance, is producing the kind of engineers that we need to drive first-rate, cutting-edge companies? The answer is no. So what is going to happen if we don't change the way we approach our education is that we're going to produce this, we are going to, maybe the entrepreneurs will get it right, maybe financing will get it right, maybe we'll tap into our resources, and we'll have fantastic industries, and there will be no Nigerians to work there. It's happening already. So the top echelons of companies around the country, you find Indians, you find Lebanese, you find Chinese guys working there. Because the Nigerian schools are not turning out Nigerians who can take Nigerian jobs. And so everybody needs to start thinking from a job solution point of view, from a problem solution point of view at the challenge of jobs. So parents must begin to think too, that why will my child go to school to study a course that is not relevant to Nigeria? I mean, Emmanuel was talking about robotics. So if you go to study robotics in Nigeria, that's not our problem. We don't need robotics solutions yet. I mean, we've not put food on our table. So parents, counselors, people who are involved in advising young people about schooling should begin to think of it like, what are the problems we have in Nigeria? And what are the things I study? So you don't say, I just want to study medicine, I just want to study engineering, I just want to study, law, and all those fancy things we talk about. When there are real problems, we are equipping ourselves to study. Even if you get in the university to study engineering, and the curriculum is designed to empower you to be able to solve the problems that we have in Nigeria. Are companies waiting for Nigerian graduates because they are waiting for IFE's next engineers to come and solve the problems out there? No, they will have to retrain Nigerian graduates. There's a real big problem out there. And more importantly also, the informal sector. Are we ready for the jobs that are coming? For instance, Nigeria is going to have a problem with mechanics in the next 3 years. Because the kind of cars that are being made today, Nigerian mechanics cannot touch them. So in 2016, when the normal Tokumbo cars will be cars made in 2008, we will not have mechanics who can fix our cars in this country any longer. And policymakers are not thinking of that. Mechanics themselves are not equiping themselves. They're not getting additional skills to be able to help them to take up those jobs when they come. So even if we begin to create jobs, are Nigerians ready to pick up those jobs? And these are the kind of conversations that we're creating on Insideify. We hope that we can have platforms where people can engage, where people who have influences can discuss, where people can begin to take independently, form their own orbs, form their own communities, form their own followers on Insideify, and begin to cause these engagements to happen. Maybe we have a vision for blue-collar jobs, for mechanics to actually come online and learn stuff. Many things will happen. But it begins, like she said, with you. And it begins with you, for instance, coming on board Insideify and starting these conversations yourself. Because the problems are here. Boko Haram, for instance, is a real problem in Nigeria. And people would say that the problem of Boko Haram is the problem of people who don't have jobs. And because they don't have jobs, so that's why they're going into terrorism. Maybe that's the truth. But the bigger problem of Boko Haram is the fact that we don't even have guys who can solve problems. So our security operatives are not lettered enough to solve our problem. And life is a continuous problem-solving situation. If you don't have equipment to solve your problems, you will die. And so Nigeria is ebbing away because we're not training ourselves to solve our problems. We're training ourselves to make money. We're training ourselves thinking that a job is an avenue to make money, not an avenue to get stuff done. Whether we like it or not, bigger problems are coming. Global warming is going to present us with bigger problems. Boko Haram is going to present us with bigger problems. And until we rise and begin to look at our problems as opportunities to create jobs and to get Nigerians working, we will be where we are for a long time. But I have hope. And that hope is what we already see happening on Insideify. Thousands of people are coming on board already, and conversations are starting. And we think that we can begin to do something in the right direction. Thank you very much.